Welcome to Jurassic Park. Fuck, wrong movie. Welcome to Fantasy Island. That thing back in the 70s that was supposed to be really nice that you went to, but here in the 2010s at some point, it became a nightmare. So what is Fantasy Island about? So this guy lives on this magic island that'll let your fantasies come to life. He builds a resort and he lets a bunch of people come to the island so that they can live out their fantasies. Like there's two brothers who want to party like rich people. There's a guy who wants to go back in time and stop his dad from being killed on a special forces mission. There's a lady who wants to go back in time and say yes to a marriage proposal she didn't. And then there's Lucy Hale that just wants to get revenge on a school bully. You know, everybody's getting off the boat thinking they're gonna go through like some sort of simulation kind of thing, right? Like obviously they can't go back in time and recorrect everything. Wrong! You would be wrong because the magic island can kind of sort of send you back in time. As long as I think you're on the island. I don't know, this got really boring in parts and I kind of drifted in and out. I know that's bad to admit, but there was some like boring parts. But come to find out, this is all a ploy to make Lucy Hale's actual fantasy come true. So it started out because she was bullied as a kid and she got sent to therapy. She felt like she wasn't enough to like date or anything. So then she finally meets this guy named Nick and they go on one date and she felt really good about herself. And so she was getting ready for the second date and she thought she had been stood up when he didn't show up for like 3 hours. But actually come to find out Nick did not stand her up. He was dead. See, he lived in an apartment with the two brothers that just wanted to go to Fantasy Island to party. With bikini women and very oily men and hot tubs and champagne and grenades. So Nick and the brother were all roommates in this one apartment. Now when the fire started, they thought Nick was out on a date, so they didn't go looking for him, they just got out of the building. And then the fire was started by the lady who turned down the marriage proposal because she had just moved in, and she had turned on the stove for the tea kettle but forgot to turn the stove off, and that's what caused the fire. She had run out of the building, and she went downstairs and tried to tell the cop, hey, we have to go in there and get him. And the cop's like, no, we can't go in there. That's a burning building. We have to wait on the fire department. Well, the cop was the guy that was going back in time to save his dad from the special forces mission. So basically, everybody that showed up to the island in some way, shape, or form was connected to the death of the man that she went on one date with. Well, I think they kill her, and then they get off the island. The end. Now, did I like it? No. I don't understand lots of things about it. Like, okay, they say it can actually bring people back from the dead, and we see that at the very end of the movie, because the brother that was killed gets on the plane, and he leaves. Okay, great, good, but he had only been killed like a couple of hours ago, and his family back on the mainland hadn't been notified yet. So if someone like your wife died years ago, and you go to this island, and you want to bring her back to life, which the main dude has that thing going on. Like, I don't get how the coming back to life on the Fantasy Island works. I don't totally get it because you have one recently deceased brother come back to life and get on the plane in exchange for the other brother having to stay on the island. And then on the other hand, you have the main guy that lives on the island, has to stay there so that he can live with his deceased wife that it brought back from the dead. Presumably meaning as long as somebody is on the island, that means the person who died and was brought back to life can leave the island. Which, like, if you're recently deceased, yeah, like the one brother, he'd only been dead like an hour or so, like his family's not gonna know yet. But like, if you bring somebody back from the dead that's been like, you know, a couple of years, even a year or so, where everybody in the family knows and attended the funeral, don't you think them coming back and being like, hey, surprise, it's gonna freak a lot of people out. There's going to be questions. And they didn't do too much to hide it, because the lady was like, you know, what's stopping us from giving you a bad Yelp review, because you did ask us to give you reviews. And he's like, well, the thing is, it's not that you have exact memories of Fantasy Island, but you remember the feeling of Fantasy Island. Yeah, but you let the one lady record her fantasy on her phone. And you also asked everybody to leave you a review on Yelp. Again, where do all the extras from said fantasy scenarios come from? You know, like with the big party with all the bikini ladies and the oiled up men. Did the fantasy create them? Or do you guys outsource? So they went completely out of the way just to kidnap the childhood bully for the revenge scenario. Alternatively, if I wanted to just have like a weekend-long marathon lovemaking session with Jared Kiso as my fantasy with never-ending shrimp, are y'all gonna kidnap the actual celebrity? Or are you just gonna give me the fake Fantasy Island one that's actually real because you can bring people back from the dead but only kinda sorta? I don't know. Do said fantasies have to follow within copyright laws? Like, say, if you wanted to experience Harry Potter and follow Harry Potter and Ron and Hermione around Hogwarts in your fantasy, is it just going to give you, like, your wizard self in a castle, or do you actually get to follow around Harry Potter and stuff? I'm going to give this, like, a 3 out of 10 because I wasn't impressed, but it's not within 0 range. But it's also not good. 3 out of 10. Kiba. Pineapple Princess, he calls me Pineapple Princess all day as he plays his ukulele on the hill above the bay. Pineapple Princess, I love you, you're the sweetest girl I've seen. Someday we're gonna marry and you'll be my pineapple queen.